Good morning, Malcolm Nance.
Good God, even as an ex-spy, I can't keep track of this.
I know.
Center,
You
reading through all the traffic.
you were just saying to Travis, this is what happens like in this era, right? Before you go on radio or TV, you have to go, what's happened in the last 3 minutes that I don't know yet, right?
That's precisely. I was in a conference for the last hour, and Travis answered the phone. I thought, okay, what?
Now what? Yeah.
Now what? The Huffington Post said something, right?
Yeah.
They're saying the ex-Ukrainian president admits that he discussed investments with Rudy Giuliani back in 2017 prior to the current election.
Oh my God, there's a financial incentive for Rudy to do everything that he's doing.
Yep.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. It's almost like traitorous grifters attract other traitorous grifters. Isn't that weird?
God, it's a party, actually.
So we were just talking, we just played a sound clip, Rudy saying that he wants to file a jawsuit, technically, against Congress. But he said, he's like, they accuse them of doing everything they're doing. He said the President of the United States conducts the foreign policy of the United States. They're, meaning Democrats, are calling foreign leaders. They're going to foreign capitals. This is worse than McCarthy, by which I think he means Kevin McCarthy on 60 Minutes, which was awful.
Yeah,
right.
But, I mean, Malcolm, this is, I don't even know how extraordinary that the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, the President of the United States are flying to, calling, pressuring foreign governments to undermine American intelligence so that we can repeal sanctions on Russia. I mean, so now we have the entire apparatus of the United States working for Russia, essentially, right?
Well, what I found fascinating about all of this, certainly in this new reporting that says that Donald Trump was carrying out all of these activities and was having representatives crisscross the world in order to get Russia off the hook for hacking and attacking the United States in the 2016 election.
Right.
Donald Trump and his cronies have just put the entirety of the Mueller report into the impeachment inquiry now. There's no way Nancy Pelosi can just stick to just a very narrow, limited scope of Ukraine. We have the funny thing is, I've written 3 books about this. It was
Right.
Conspiracy in Plain Sight. And this is the stuff Mueller did not get.
Thank
so now
you.
the Mueller report has an entirely new facet to it where we're going to verify, and these intelligence and judiciary committees, they need to verify that the 10 points of obstruction of justice has evidence. Because remember, Mueller couldn't get evidence because they were destroying it and lying about it. And now we're getting it. So I say no prisoners on this one.
Yeah, and I agree, Malcolm, and that's exactly, we're like, that's why they hid that from Mueller, the Oval Office meeting, right, with Kislyak and Lavrov, and, telling them, he doesn't care that they meddled in the elections. I mean, it's extraordinary, and now they're saying attorneys for House of Representatives suggested Trump lied to federal authorities about his knowledge of contacts with WikiLeaks. They asked the court to unseal portions of the we still don't have the grand jury material and the unredacted Mueller report. And they say those events may be relevant to the House's investigation of the president's solicitation of Ukrainian interference in the 2020 election. So, Malcolm, you're right. This is all one story. It's all connected, right?
Well, certainly it's connected. I mean, now we're finding out that as of yesterday, Zelensky has agreed to go into negotiations for a peace settlement that favors Moscow, where the Donbass region that they're fighting, where Ukrainian forces are taking 2 to 4 dead per day in an active war against these insurgents backed by the Russian army, that he's now talking about giving them autonomy. And protests broke out all across the Ukraine yesterday because now people are thinking this guy either got pressured by Trump to give Putin precisely what he wanted, or that Zelensky was in Putin's pocket the whole time. So that leads, if this is what's happening in his country, it explains why he agreed to go along with Trump in getting this information to him. He wasn't even looking out for the interest of the Ukraine.
Yeah.
He was looking out for someone else's interest. And to say that he's going to, essentially give away or give the Donbass the autonomy they want, That's what happened to Crimea. Okay, Crimea was a semi-autonomous ethnic Russian compound or section of Ukraine, which Russia invaded because their people voted for it. And so he essentially is now about to give away a section of Ukraine. So
Oy.
all of this is tied together. The Mueller report, the Russian interference. And I don't know if you guys talked this morning about Putin's joke saying he will definitely interfere in the 2020
Ugh.
election,
Oh my
but that was
God.
just
Yeah, it's funny.
reported. He
Funny.
said, "Oh yes, we will definitely interfere in the 2020 election, but it's a secret. Don't tell anybody." Well,
Mm.
you've already started,
Right.
so we already know. So Putin can laugh at us, a third-rate country that's essentially a trailer park with atomic bombs, has made fools of the greatest power on earth by putting in the greatest idiot in American history into the presidency.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Malcolm, I've been saying this for days, but to try to get your mind around all of this, whether it's legally or otherwise, because they're all in on it. Lindsey Graham said he plans to send a letter asking other countries to cooperate with the Justice Department probe into the origins of the Mueller investigation. He said Barr should be talking to Australia. He should be talking to Italy. He should be talking to the UK to find out if their intelligence services worked with our intelligence services improperly to open up a counterintelligence investigation of Trump's campaign. If he's not doing that, he's not doing his job. So I'm going to write a letter to all three countries asking them to cooperate with Barr. This is Barr's job on taxpayer money to fly around.
Lindsey Graham giving cover. And I mean, this is disgusting. They have decided, obviously, to go all in corrupting and essentially trying to validate all of these secret contacts. And I understand it. I was watching Morning Joe this morning that the inspector general who was assigned at the FBI to do this internal investigation, Barr has been literally with him on his investigation on some of these trips, like the trip to Italy, and has been looking over his shoulder the entire time. He's literally putting his thumb on the scale of an independent investigation and making sure that he does what he wants. So now he's corrupting the Attorney General of the United States. I'm sorry, this man needs to be impeached.
Yeah.
Okay? They need to start going systematically through everyone who was involved, and Barr needs to be impeached as well. The entire justice of the United States is at stake here, much less the presidency, our national security, our foreign relations, and the Constitution itself. But now they're going whole hog. And Lindsey Graham has decided that he's going to be a full-scale cover for these people. All I know is this: the advocate DC needs to get busy. All right.
Yeah.
And Lindsey Graham, he obviously is swaying to pressure, but he views himself as a person who's untouchable in DC.
Well, I just don't even. I mean,
but
still, the fact that they are using the entire apparatus of the United States of America, in terms of the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, to try and chase conspiracy theories all around the world. I mean, I just can't. And by the way, who was the ex-Ukraine prosecutor? Obviously, that was the news this weekend. Said he found no wrongdoing with Biden. Tom Bossert, who was a Trump administration official, said this is a ridiculous conspiracy theory and they need to stop. I mean, it's like whether it's about the Bidens or the CrowdStrike or the server and Hillary's emails are in the Ukraine. I mean, I don't know where we're going with all this.
Yeah, but Steffi, this is now party survival. They understand the depth of the threat here and what happened with this Ukrainian essentially conspiracy to corrupt and pervert the entire system. And another thing, we're going to find out it was Trump who ordered those transcripts onto the top secret SCI computer system, which any of us who have had a clearance knows you cannot cross-contaminate general service classified information, that's confidential, secret, and top secret, with top secret compartmented special access program material, because it essentially means now that material is top secret code word, but it's not stamped. And so he hid this in a lockbox inside of a lockbox inside of a
Right.
safe at the bottom of the ocean.
Hid it from Mueller, among others. I mean,
And
yeah.
that's how they did it. They hid it amongst the most covert operations in America's history that only the president and the National Security Council staff would have access to. And you know what? Subpoena the damn server. Let it
Malcolm,
go to the skiff and ask for every conversation he ever had. Take it to the Supreme Court if you have to.
see, but that's what's terrifying is, would it surprise you that they've already destroyed it? I mean, given all the evidence they destroyed in the Mueller.
Can't destroy it.
You can't
destroy it. Nope. That information is not physically kept on the computer. There is a classified cloud server. With a cloud server, it's more secure than a physical computer,
right?
Because you could store the letter A over here, the letter B over here, and it's the algorithm that brings it all back together again, right? And that's why the CIA's processes are, on this massive cloud data bank, because it's impossible to crack, especially if you're constantly encrypting it. So the White House knows that, which is why they hid the material there. That is the intelligence scandal here, is that all of his conversations with Pootie Poot and all of his discussions with the murder of Jamal Khashoggi that were overheard by other people monitoring it, those people are sycophants. They're not going to drop the dime. But if those transcripts ever got out, I am certain, just as I have been right about everything all along, he has sold this company down the street 100 times.
Yeah. By the way, you just made a new word. It's a cross between sycophant and psychopath.
Yeah.
Sycophant.
Sycophant.
That's exactly what this administration is made up of.
Hashtag sycophant.
Sycophant.
But Malcolm, that's exactly what I was going to ask you is, boy, oh boy, what do you think is on those Trump-Putin tapes? What do you think those conversations were? I mean, can't they subpoena the translator in Helsinki? I mean, this is really,
Yeah, and this is the thing that gets me, I had this little tiff with, Christine Pelosi on Twitter a couple of weeks ago when she was advocating no impeachment, right?
Yeah.
And that Nancy had a plan and that Nancy had a strategy. And me and Proud Resistor had called out and said, there's no strategy here. There's no plan here. And boom, Ukraine falls 3 days later. And suddenly the plan is what everyone had been calling for,
right,
which was impeachment. So, I'll accept that
apology
now.
We're all one family now. We're all vote blue no matter who.
I agree with you. But my point being this, you cannot limit this. Like with Nixon, you can't say, okay, it's only going to be about the Watergate break-in and communications between the spies, when they found 1 million obstruction of justice things.
Yep.
This must play out into all its natural pieces. And if that requires 40 counts of obstruction of justice, so be it.
Malcolm, real quick before you go, we're long as usual, but your tweet, I mean, this is extraordinary that, I don't know, this isn't even necessarily the top story because there's always 17 top stories a day. But you tweeted, shooting civilians in the legs means that 50% will be shot in the abdomen or chest and die. 75% hit in the legs will die of hemorrhaging and lack of treatment. Trump was ordering murder. Impeachment inquiry needs to expand to whatever crimes he ordered. I mean, lost in all the joking about alligators and snakes, and is the fact that he is ordering crimes again. He has ordered crimes at the highest level repeatedly, right?
I'm constantly trying to tell all of you and your listeners to start using this phrase, meta-narrative framing. And that means a simple description of the act and push it, because that's what Trump people do. What he did was he ordered the shooting, death, and murder of women and children. He ordered them to do it, to just shoot him in the legs, until his staff told him all of this was illegal. He wanted it done. Trump ordered shooting of civilians.
It's like he ordered a bunch of code reds. We have so many code reds, I don't even know where to start. Right? Oh, my God. Malcolm, great stuff. Love you.
All right.
All right.
Love you,
love you,
too.
honey. Bye-bye. Here he goes. Malcolm Nance.